Today, we embark on a journey through one of life's greatest mysteries: death, impermanence, and the path beyond. This is not just a video, it is an invitation to reflect, to release fear, and to prepare for the journey that awaits us all. My friends, today's video holds profound wisdom stories, philosophy, and teachings from the Buddha himself on how to let go of fear, find peace in impermanence, and prepare for the greatest journey of all. But be warned, this is not a lesson for the faint of heart. This is for those who seek truth, those who wish to walk their final steps in wisdom rather than fear. Stay with me until the very end. Every moment of this video contains insights that can change the way you live and the way you transition beyond this life. Take a deep breath. Open your heart. And let us begin. Once, a wise old man sat by a great river. A young traveler approached him, troubled by the thought of death. "Master," he asked, "how can I prepare for something so unknown?" The old man smiled, pointing to the flowing water. "This river has been flowing before you were born and will continue long after you are gone. Yet, is it ever the same river? It changes each moment, just like us. If you learn to embrace change rather than resist it, you will find peace." The young traveler watched the water rush past, contemplating the meaning behind the old man's words. "But, Master, I fear losing everything I have known. My family, my memories, my very sense of self. How do I simply let go?" The old man took a handful of water from the river and let it slip through his fingers. Trying to hold on to life is like grasping at water. The tighter you hold, the more it escapes you. But when you open your hand and let it flow, it nourishes and refreshes you. Life is meant to be lived, not possessed. When we accept that everything is fleeting, we cease to suffer. Death, too, is not an end, but a transition, a return to the vastness from which we came. The river does not lament when a drop returns to the ocean, nor should we fear the inevitable. The Buddha spoke of anicca, impermanence. Everything we hold dear, our bodies, our relationships, our achievements, are like sand slipping through our fingers. To cling is to suffer, to let go is to find liberation. To let go is an act of courage, not weakness. Many people fear that releasing attachments means losing their sense of identity, but true identity is not found in possessions or fleeting relationships. The wise understand that we are not defined by what we hold onto, but by the depth of our presence in each moment. The Buddha likened this to holding onto a burning coal. It is not the fire that causes suffering, but our refusal to release it. In Buddhist teachings, impermanence is not a concept of loss, but one of transformation. Just as a tree sheds its leaves in autumn, not out of despair but to make way for new growth, so too must we shed our attachments. When we resist change, we struggle. When we embrace it, we move effortlessly with the natural rhythm of existence. We often believe that security lies in permanence, but in truth, real security comes from our ability to adapt. Those who flow with life, rather than against it, find serenity. It is said that a great Zen master, upon being asked what the most profound teaching of Buddhism was, simply responded, "Let go." We suffer because we believe that what we have is permanent. But look around, everything changes. The seasons shift, the tides rise and fall, and even the strongest mountain erodes with time. Why, then, do we believe that our lives should be exempt from this truth? To let go is not to abandon, but to release our tight grasp on things beyond our control. It is to flow with life, rather than against it. A person who resists the current will struggle and drown, but one who surrenders will be carried effortlessly to the shore. Ask yourself, what am I still holding on to? Regrets? Attachments? Fears? The more we release, the lighter we become. Like a leaf that surrenders to the wind, we too can embrace the journey ahead with grace. The Buddha once said, just as a snake sheds its old skin, we must shed our past over and over again. This is the way of wisdom, to understand that clinging to what is already gone only causes suffering. Instead, we should cherish the present moment, for it is the only thing that is truly ours. Aging, illness, and even death are not tragedies, they are reminders. They teach us to love deeper, to live more fully, to walk this path with gratitude rather than resistance. The wise do not fear the end, because they have made peace with the journey. So let go, not with despair, but with trust. Like the river that never stops flowing, our true nature is beyond what we can see. When the time comes, let us return to the vastness with an open heart, knowing that we were never truly separate from it to begin with. Many people, as they reach the later years of life, begin to question the path they have walked. They ask, have I lived well? Have I made the right choices? What do I do with the weight of my regrets? Regret is a heavy stone that we carry, often unknowingly, and with each passing year, it grows heavier. It is the sorrow of missed opportunities, of words left unspoken, of choices we wished we had made differently. But what if the weight we bear is not necessary? What if it can be set down? Yet regret is not the only burden of old age. Many elders also struggle with loneliness, fear of death, uncertainty about the future, and a sense of lost purpose. The mind becomes occupied with thoughts such as, will I be forgotten? What happens after this life? Did my life have meaning? What will happen to my loved ones when I am gone? Such concerns are natural, but they do not have to lead to suffering. Buddhism teaches that our suffering does not come from these questions themselves, but from our attachment to the idea that they must all be answered before we can be at peace. An aging scholar once approached a revered monk and asked, Master, I have spent my life in pursuit of knowledge and wealth, yet as I near the end, I feel unfulfilled. What have I missed? The monk picked up a heavy sack filled with stones and handed it to the scholar. Carry this with you wherever you go, he instructed. After only a short walk, the scholar, weary and exhausted, pleaded, Master, this burden is too great. Why must I carry it? The monk smiled. This sack is no different from the burdens of regret, attachment, and worry that you carry in your mind. You have spent a lifetime collecting achievements, yet none of them ease your heart. Let go, and you will walk freely. The scholar fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. He understood. True peace is not in accumulation, but in release. Just as a traveler must leave behind unnecessary weight to complete a long journey, so too must we release our attachments, fears, and regrets to embrace the path ahead with lightness and grace. But how does one truly let go? Is it as simple as making a decision, or does it require something deeper, an internal transformation? Burdens of regret, attachment, and unresolved emotions take a significant toll on the aging mind and body. Buddhism teaches that clinging to regret is like holding onto a burning ember. It is not the past that burns us, but our refusal to release it. As one grows older, unresolved burdens manifest as anxiety, depression, and even physical ailments. The weight of what has been left unsaid, the missed opportunities, and the lingering bitterness can rob one of peace in the final years of life. One emotional strain and anxiety, the mind, entangled in past mistakes, breeds worry and sorrow. Without release, these thoughts create emotional exhaustion, making it difficult to enjoy the present moment. To physical toll on the body, stress and unresolved regrets lead to tension, high blood pressure, and weakened immunity. The body, already fragile with age, suffers under the unseen weight of emotional pain. 3. Loneliness and isolation. Those who dwell in regret often withdraw from loved ones, feeling unworthy of happiness. This self-imposed isolation deepens feelings of loneliness, making the later years more difficult. 4. Fear of death and the unknown. Instead of embracing the natural cycle of life, attachment to the past creates fear, making the transition into the final journey filled with resistance rather than acceptance. Understanding these consequences is the first step toward liberation. By recognizing the impact of these burdens, one can make the conscious choice to let go, seeking peace instead of pain, acceptance instead of struggle, and wisdom instead of regret. But the question remains, how do we free ourselves from these burdens? How can we shift from a life of carrying the past to one of embracing the present? The answer lies in cultivating mindful awareness and practicing the principles of gratitude, kindness, and inner peace. How do we prepare for the final journey? By living fully now. This is the essence of true happiness, not in the endless pursuit of wealth or status, but in the depth of our presence, in the kindness we offer, and in the peace we cultivate within. To truly embrace the present, one must recognize that the past cannot be changed and the future is beyond our grasp. The only moment we truly own is now. It is in this very moment that we can choose to be at peace, to be kind, and to let go of our burdens. Practice gratitude. Each breath is a gift. Each morning, when you awaken, recognize the miracle of being alive. So many have left this world before us, yet here we are, still given the chance to experience, to love, to awaken. Gratitude shifts the mind from longing to appreciation, from dissatisfaction to contentment. When you breathe, be aware this breath is precious. Let each breath be a reminder that we are still here, still given an opportunity to bring light into the world. Inhale deeply, knowing that life is not a burden but a privilege. Cultivate loving kindness. Leave no words of love unsaid. Do not wait until the end to express your love. Speak it now. Tell your family, your friends, even strangers that you appreciate them. Kindness is a seed that, when planted, continues to grow beyond this lifetime. The words we leave unspoken out of fear or hesitation will not travel with us. Only love remains. Let go of resentment. Carry no burdens into the next life. Resentment is like carrying a burning coal in our hands, expecting the other to feel the pain. In truth, it only harms us. Let it go. Forgive, not because the other person deserves it, but because your own heart deserves peace. Do not enter the next life with a heart weighed down by past wounds. Release them, and you will walk lighter. Meditate. Learn to dwell in stillness, so that when the time comes, we meet it with peace. Meditation is the art of returning home to ourselves, to the present moment. It is not merely sitting in silence, but a practice of deep listening to the breath, to the heart, to the fleeting nature of all things. If we do not learn how to be at peace now, how will we be at peace when the body weakens, when the final breath approaches? Meditation teaches us that fear is born from attachment, and peace arises from acceptance. If we can sit in stillness, embracing each moment as it is, then when the time comes, we will not resist. We will smile, knowing we have lived well, and that we are merely returning to the vastness from which we came. In meditation, we come to understand that we are not these bodies, not these fleeting thoughts. We are something far greater, an ever-unfolding part of the universe's rhythm. To prepare for rebirth, we must recognize that karma is the guiding thread that weaves through our existence, not a fixed destiny but a living force, one that can be purified and directed towards a noble path, even in our final days. Just as a gardener enriches the soil to ensure the next season's harvest, we must cultivate wisdom, compassion, and generosity, so that our next becoming is one of clarity and ease. Our final moments are not an end, but a threshold, a passage shaped by the intentions and actions we carry forward. Karma is not a system of reward and punishment imposed by an external force. It is the natural law of cause and effect, molding the quality of our future existence through the seeds we sow with each thought, word, and deed. The Buddha likened karma to a shadow, unwavering, inseparable, reflecting every choice we make. Our rebirth will mirror the consciousness we nurture now. If we wish for a next life of peace and liberation, we must embody those very qualities in this life. For those in the later years of life, this truth is of great significance. Just as a river carries the accumulated waters of many streams, the final stage of our journey is shaped by the deeds of our past. Yet, even now, the course of the river can be altered. The most important karma is the one we cultivate in the present moment. Our last thoughts, our final emotions, and the energy we carry as we step into the unknown will guide us toward our next becoming. A person who spends their final days in resentment, fear, or attachment will find those forces shaping their rebirth. But one who embraces peace, generosity, and wisdom walks into the next life with lightness, like a bird taking flight at dawn. The mind is the architect of our destiny. If we wish for a rebirth of clarity and ease, we must cultivate that clarity and ease now. What should the elderly do to ensure a good rebirth? Practice generosity, Dana. Generosity is the antidote to attachment. When we give freely, we loosen the bonds that tie us to this existence. A heart that clings to possessions, status, or regrets remains heavy, but a heart that gives is light and unburdened. Generosity is not merely about material wealth, it is also about sharing time, kindness, and wisdom. A kind word, a moment of deep listening, a simple act of service, these two are offerings that create a wealth of merit. The Buddha taught that giving with a pure heart is like planting a seed in fertile soil. It will grow and blossom, shaping our future in ways beyond our imagination. Develop compassion and loving kindness, metta. If karma is the seed of our future, then loving kindness is the water that nourishes it. When we hold on to anger, resentment, or past wounds, we trap ourselves in suffering. But when we forgive, when we cultivate metta, we free ourselves and others from the chains of old burdens. Imagine carrying a heavy stone in your hands for many years. The moment you drop it, you feel an immense relief. This is the power of letting go. Forgiveness is not about justifying wrongs, it is about refusing to let the poison of anger remain in our hearts. When we forgive, we dissolve negative karma and create the conditions for a rebirth filled with peace and ease. Engage in mindful reflection. A wise person does not wait until the final breath to contemplate their life. Reflection is an ongoing practice, a mirror in which we see our own heart. Each day, we should ask ourselves, have I lived with integrity? Have I been kind? Have I let go of unnecessary attachments? The Buddha often spoke of the importance of mindfulness in the face of impermanence. If we train the mind to accept change with grace, then when the final change comes, we will not resist it. We will step forward with serenity, knowing that we have lived well. Chant or listen to sutras. The vibration of sacred words has the power to calm the mind and purify the heart. When we recite or listen to the sutras, we invite wisdom into our consciousness. The words of the Buddha are like a lamp in the darkness, illuminating the path beyond this life. Chanting also strengthens our resolve and helps us let go of fear. The Dhammapada teaches, the mind, when disciplined, leads to happiness, the mind, when undisciplined, leads to suffering. As we approach our final days, immersing ourselves in the teachings, contemplating the Dharma, and connecting with spiritual guidance will prepare us for a transition that is not filled with dread, but with trust. To prepare for the next life is not to wait for death, but to live so fully and mindfully in this very moment that when the time comes, we meet it like an old friend. To walk forward without fear, with a heart that is open and light, is to ensure a rebirth that reflects the wisdom we have cultivated. Let this be the practice of our final years, a practice not of endings, but of beautiful beginnings. A great king, nearing the twilight of his life, summoned a revered monk. His voice, once commanding, now trembled with uncertainty. "I have built grand palaces, ruled vast lands, and acquired immense wealth. Yet, I am afraid. What awaits me after death?" The monk, his presence serene as a still lake, simply smiled. "Great king, when you embark on a journey to another land, do you not prepare beforehand?" "Of course," the king replied, furrowing his brow. "Then why," the monk asked, "have you not prepared for the greatest journey of all?" The king fell silent, his heart heavy with realization. "The wealth of this world cannot be carried beyond the threshold of death," the monk continued. "Gold and jewels will not serve you, nor will your titles and dominion. Only your actions, your kindness, and your wisdom will accompany you. These are the true treasures that determine the path beyond." Upon hearing this, the king wept. The power he had once clung to seemed as fleeting as morning mist. And from that day forward, he turned his efforts toward acts of goodness, preparing not for more conquests, but for his departure with grace, humility, and peace. How to let go of fear and embrace death. 1. Acceptance, the truth of impermanence. To fear death is to resist the nature of life itself. The Buddha taught that all conditioned things are impermanent, arising and ceasing like waves upon the ocean. To cling to what is fleeting is to invite suffering, to accept change is to find freedom. Consider the falling leaf. It does not resist the wind, nor does it grieve for the branch it must leave behind. It dances in the air, embracing the rhythm of nature. So too must we learn to surrender, to trust that this transition is but another phase in the great unfolding of existence. 2. Mindfulness in death, the last breath as a gateway. Just as we train our minds in meditation, we must train ourselves to meet death with awareness. When the final moment arrives, it is not chaos we seek, but clarity. The last breath is not an end, it is a door opening to the next realm. A mind steeped in fear clings, a mind grounded in mindfulness lets go. Those who have practiced dwelling in the present will not be caught in panic but will step forward with serenity. To die well, one must first learn to live well, fully, mindfully, and without regret. 3. Faith and trust, the stream continues. Death is not an annihilation, but a transformation. A candle flame, when extinguished, does not vanish, it merges with the vastness from which it came. So too does consciousness flow beyond what we perceive as an ending. The Buddha spoke of samsara, the cycle of birth and death. Just as a river does not cease when it reaches the sea but transforms into rain, mist, and clouds, so too does our journey continue. To trust this truth is to release fear. To know that our deeds ripple through time is to live with greater care. What should one do, then, as death draws near? Live rightly now. Speak words of kindness. Free yourself from resentment. Meditate upon compassion. And when the final breath comes, meet it as an old friend, one who has always walked beside you, waiting to guide you home. We have traveled far in this conversation. We have spoken of impermanence, karma, mindfulness, and the art of letting go. We have walked in the footsteps of kings and monks, of those who have feared death and those who have embraced it as a friend. But now, the choice is yours. Do you continue to cling to regrets, attachments, the illusion of permanence? Or do you surrender not in defeat, but in deep, unwavering trust? Remember the river. It does not fight the current, it flows with it. Remember the candle flame. It does not fear being extinguished, it returns to the great vastness from which it came. And remember this, you are not merely preparing for death, you are preparing to live so fully, so wisely, that when the final breath comes, you meet it with peace, not fear. If this message has touched your heart, if these teachings have given you even a moment of clarity, then let us walk this path together. Subscribe to Golden Buddhism. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Share your reflections, your fears, your wisdom. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. May you walk this path with serenity. May you embrace the unknown with trust. And may you find peace in every step of your journey.